This morning I was working on the book that Russell Coates and I are doing together on compassion. And Russ was talking about attachment styles that we learned as children and how they impact our ability to develop compassion. And I found it quite interesting because he was saying, and scientists know this, that the initial relationships we form when we're very young with whoever our caregivers are, we develop habits and patterns of how to relate to people due to these early experiences that were quite strong for us. And so some people had caregivers that were very attentive, and whenever they cried or the child was distressed or whatever way, the caregivers were able to come and help them. And so those children grew up with secure attachment styles, which enabled them to know that other people would be there and to learn, that they could be soothed when they're upset. And so that helps them learn how to soothe themselves and helps them learn how to reach out and have compassion, when they're with other people who are distressed. And, so it makes it easier to develop compassion. And then other people had caregivers that were very anxious, or their way of relating to the child was sometimes ambiguous. So sometimes they would come, or sometimes they wouldn't, or the caregivers were really apprehensive and nervous about taking care of the children. And so those children grew up to often grow up to feel that, what was it called, an anxious, apprehensive attachment style, where they don't feel completely secure in the relationship, and they often are trying to please other people, and to soothe the other people because, their initial caregivers were rather nervous and apprehensive. And so somebody who grows up like that, it presents a little bit more of a challenge to generate compassion, because often their attention is very self-focused, wondering, do these people like me? Do I fit in? How am I doing? They kind of tend to worry and be apprehensive themselves. And then another kind of child, or another child, may have grown up in a family with parents who, or not parents necessarily, but caregivers who were just, had so many other things on their mind that when the child cried or whatever, they couldn't reach out because the caregivers were just trying to manage what was on their own plate, and they felt overwhelmed. And so those children often grew up with what they call an avoidance attachment style, which means that they're a little bit scared to get close to people because their previous conditioning was that those people wouldn't always be there for them. And so then this also, makes it more difficult to develop compassion. So I found this quite interesting. Of course, the psychologists talk about this as 3 distinct styles, and you fit in one of them. But my guess is that all of us have experienced all 3 styles because our parents are not consistent beings who all the time did one style and not the other. Yeah, so my guess is that we probably have tinges of all 3 to greater or lesser extents, depending upon, what was prominent in our home. But also, considering past and future lives, which of course the psychologists don't know about or consider, I think part of it may come from our previous dispositions as kids too. Because we don't come into this life as, all equal slates, all equal, and we don't come into this life as blank slates. And so I personally feel that while this kind of information can give us a lot of insights into our own personal styles, our own tendencies to have more one style or one set of feelings more than another set of feelings, I don't feel like we should develop identities to these kinds of things, but just see it as, oh, this is more information that may explain my behavior to myself. But whatever it is, I can practice and I can change my previous conditioning and develop more secure styles as an adult. Yeah, it may take a little bit more time, but that's okay. I can still do it. Okay, so I feel that perspective is quite important. But also the knowing about these different styles does help us when we meet people who have a predominance of one kind of feeling over another, because it lets us know that, oh, this is, you know, how they grew up, this is what they were used to, and so it may take a little bit more effort to reach out and to them, and it may take more effort for them to accept it when we're reaching out, you know, and to accept the love and compassion that's offered to them. But again, I don't think that there's certain people who find it always easy to accept love and compassion, and other people who don't. You know, again, this kind of information I find useful, but we shouldn't develop hard and fast categories about it, because I think all of this is very changeable and very much in flux too. But it is useful knowledge for sure.